Daniel Ricciardo is out of his car for the rest of the season. Initially, it seemed like this marked the end of his racing career. However, out of nowhere, there were talks of a potential comeback at Red Bull. Interestingly, Ricciardo was aware of his impending dismissal right after the Spanish GP. But why would Red Bull consider bringing him back now? It all ties into their strategic master plan. The biggest surprise of them all was when Ricciardo sent out a message to everyone around the time of the Spanish GP, but somehow, it went unnoticed by many. In addition to that, Christian Horner shed light on the decision to replace Ricciardo with Liam Lawson for the rest of the 2024 F1 season. During his appearance on the F1 Nation podcast, Horner revealed the reasoning behind this unexpected mid-season swap, clarifying many doubts. Though Red Bull has a history of making mid-season changes, people questioned the timing why replace Ricciardo with only 6 races left instead of allowing him to finish the season. It all revolves around Red Bull's grand strategy for 2025 and beyond. In an ideal scenario, letting Ricciardo complete the season would have been the way to go, according to Horner. But when considering the bigger picture, it made sense to give Liam the chance to race alongside Yuki Tsunoda and evaluate his performance in the remaining 6 Grands Prix. Horner essentially confirmed what many suspected at the time: Lawson is auditioning to become Max Verstappen's teammate at Red Bull Racing in 2025, potentially replacing Sergio Perez. Horner emphasized that while Red Bull has a contract with Perez for the next year, they always have to look ahead and consider future options. This raises the question, will it be Lawson, or will they need to search outside their current driver pool? Could one of their junior drivers, like Isaac Hadjar or Arvid Lindblad, step up when the time comes? Ricciardo was brought back as a fallback option for Perez, but he couldn't consistently perform at the high level needed to be a viable replacement when Perez's form faltered early in 2024. Horner even disclosed that Red Bull racing advisor Helmut Marko wanted Ricciardo out of the car as early as the Spanish Grand Prix in June, a revelation that surprised many. When asked about what went wrong for Ricciardo, Horner pointed to his lack of consistency. He explained, "In Miami, it was a weekend of 2 halves. Friday and Saturday morning were fantastic. It was like seeing the old Daniel battling against Ferraris and pushing the car to its limits. But then Saturday afternoon and Sunday turned disastrous." Horner admitted that he tried his best to buy Ricciardo some time. By the time they reached the Montreal GP, it was veteran racer Jacques Villeneuve who got into Ricciardo's head, giving him a tough time and seemingly firing him up. In response, Ricciardo drove the car with renewed vigor that weekend, grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and delivering a strong performance. Horner even joked, "I told Ricciardo to give Jacques a call before every Grand Prix for the rest of the year, because whatever he said really worked." Horner vehemently denied claims that Red Bull was too harsh in dropping Ricciardo mid-season, stressing that he had personally supported Ricciardo, unlike Marko, who wanted Lawson to be promoted sooner. When questioned about why he was so firm with Ricciardo but not with Perez, Horner replied, "I've done everything I could to give him the maximum time in the car to show what he could do. Otherwise, he would have been out right after Barcelona." He emphasized that all drivers are under pressure to perform. The reason Ricciardo was given that seat was to get back into a position where he could be the go-to option if Perez didn't deliver. The problem was that both drivers faced form issues at different times. Perez started the season very strong, while Ricciardo struggled. Later, as Perez's performance slipped, Ricciardo started to find some form, but it wasn't compelling enough to warrant a switch. Horner also referred to Ricciardo's time at McLaren, saying he had developed some bad habits while driving for them. Red Bull placed him back in the AlphaTauri seat after noticing that he shed these habits during his time in the simulator and after an impressive performance in a critical test at Silverstone. However, his failure to maintain those peaks consistently after being given the race seat ultimately led to his replacement. Now, with Ricciardo stepping aside, it's Liam Lawson's turn to try and convince Red Bull that he deserves a spot on the main team. Yuki Tsunoda's chances of driving for Red Bull Racing in the future seem to be overlooked, with him appearing to be stuck in the benchmarking role. This means that Lawson's ability to measure up to Tsunoda will be crucial in securing a seat with Red Bull in 2025. Last year, Liam stepped in and outperformed Yuki in both Singapore and Japan, showing speed right from the get-go. Horner described Lawson as being very adaptable, mentioning that his testing in the Red Bull racing car this year has been quite promising. Yuki, on the other hand, is not a rookie anymore, This is his fourth year in Formula One, and he has built up a wealth of experience. Using Yuki as a reference point, Red Bull evaluated Ricciardo's performance, and now they will see how Lawson fares in the final 6 races. However, Lawson isn't just driving for a potential Red Bull spot, he's also competing for a seat at AlphaTauri. His future with Red Bull is not guaranteed, so every race is critical for him. If Red Bull wants to address more pressing concerns regarding their junior drivers, they might consider creating space for someone like Isaac Hadjar at AlphaTauri in 2025. If Lawson is promoted or let go, Hadjar could fill a similar role to what Lawson had this year, being the third driver, undertaking extensive private testing, and serving as a reserve for Red Bull. Yet, Red Bull's renewed interest in nurturing young talent could speed up these plans. The young guys come in hungry and push the car to its limits, Horner said. That's what we're seeing with all these juniors. They're well prepared, race effectively, and know how to manage tires. Lawson now has several weeks to gear up for his Formula One return at the United States Grand Prix, a debut he's known about for quite some time. However, his entry might be complicated or made simpler, depending on perspective, by a significant grid penalty for exceeding the maximum engine components allowed. He'll be taking an engine penalty there, so it's a bit of a soft re-entry, Horner explained. But of course he'll be measured against his teammate. Last year he was quick against him, and I think Yuki has stepped up again this year. So, it'll be fascinating to see how fast Liam can adapt. Horner reiterated that the perfect scenario for 2025 would be if Perez rediscovered his early season form, in which case nothing would need to change. However, he also noted, in this business, 2 weeks can feel like an eternity. Despite expressing admiration for Ricciardo's contributions to Red Bull, especially during his brilliant 2014 season, where Horner believed Ricciardo was the best driver in F1 at the time, he left the door slightly open for another Ricciardo return if both Lawson and Perez fall short. Could he make another comeback? I certainly hope he stays connected to the sport, Horner remarked about Ricciardo. We've made it clear that we want him to remain as a team ambassador. However, he added that they could consider bringing Ricciardo back if Lawson doesn't perform well, or if Perez continues to struggle. We are well aware of Daniel's capabilities, Horner continued, but for him, he knows at this stage of his career that he's made plenty of incredible memories. Horner reminisced about Ricciardo's most iconic moments, even joking about the most disgusting thing ever, drinking champagne from his sweaty race boot, which Ricciardo famously made his own by getting others to join in. So the big question remains, is Red Bull just grasping at straws in their quest to find the ideal teammate for Verstappen in 2025? It's clear they're looking for someone who can bring consistent performances and help secure the Constructors' Championship once again. But is that person already in their current pool of drivers, or do they need to look elsewhere? Lawson's trial period in the last few races will be crucial in deciding his fate. Red Bull is keen on finding out if he has what it takes to fill that seat. Meanwhile, Tsunoda remains somewhat sidelined, even though he has proven to be quick and experienced over his seasons in F1. Horner's closing thoughts show that Red Bull is open to multiple possibilities. In an ideal world, Perez finds his form again, and everything stays as it is, Horner explained, acknowledging the uncertainty that defines Formula One. But as we all know, things can change rapidly in this sport, and if Liam, Perez, or even our junior drivers fail to meet expectations, we know we have Ricciardo as a safety net. With all these scenarios unfolding, it's an exciting yet tense period for Red Bull as they search for the right combination to drive alongside Verstappen. What are your thoughts? Is this just a strategic game, or does Red Bull truly believe one of their current drivers can fit the role? Let me know in the comments below. And that's the latest scoop from the Red Bull camp. This upcoming season is shaping up to be full of surprises, and it's going to be thrilling to see how everything unfolds. What do you think about Red Bull's master plan? Do you believe Lawson is the right choice for 2025, or could Ricciardo make yet another comeback? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss out on any of our latest F1 updates and insider news. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, stay fast, stay curious, and keep the race spirit alive.